renting premises, you know, it's big capital outlay. You know, you go and rent a premise, they want 6 months bond up front before you've even walked in the door, and before you've even made a sale. They've got 6 months out of you sitting there and held against you. You know, it's a lot of working capital that's sitting there and not actually providing products for your clients, so forth. So retail is doing it very, very tough at the moment, very, very tough. The internet is taking, you know, about 10% of the retail sales off the top. Who buys on the internet? Who buys off the internet? Well, every one of those sales is one sale that didn't go through a retail shop. And every retail shop that didn't make a sale, that's a coffee that wasn't sold down here, and that was a newspaper that wasn't sold here, and that was a drink machine that wasn't purchased from here. You know, that's what's happening. And with business, as you'll learn when you do the numbers, it's you make all the profit in the top 10% of your turnover. In other words, you spend 90% of your turnover paying your bills, paying all the things you do. Finally, that last 10% of turnover is all yours. And you go, thank goodness for the last 10%. So when retail is down 10% or losing 10% to the internet, they're actually losing all their profit. They're not losing 10% of their profit, they're losing all their profit, because that's where all their profit is. And the landlords are not dropping rents. The landlords are still pushing their rents, because if the landlord drops the rent, it revalues their property to the point that it may be less than their bank loan, and then the bank will actually ask them to top up. They will actually say, you haven't got enough money against that property, we want you to top it up because your rent now, your property is not worth that much. So I'm not here to discourage you, I'm just going to tell you what's involved in that, and that there may be some other options from just going straight out and saying I'm going to go and rent a place. There are other options, and these days, you know, the capital costs of going into an online business and replicating the virtual of what you were going to do in physical is so cheap and so able to make mistakes that's obviously where I think newbies like us should be playing. So that's just a word to say that I'm a bit surprised how many of you are still looking at that, but that's okay. We'll look at you when we get to your capital budgets. Maybe some of you might think an online strategy mightn't be a bad one.